until 2013, I spent 32 years at the University of Pittsburgh as a professor at the medical school and the business school. The last part of and I was chief of geriatrics, geriatric behavioral health. I used to start my talks by saying I'm a geriatric psychiatrist. I know I don't look it. And then one day nobody laughed. So here we are. So, thank you. So, the last part of my academic career was really spent at the business school, because what I became convinced of is that in order to really improve quality of care, whether it's medical or behavioral health, that there has to be a link between the evidence-based and the financial outcomes. And because just having good science won't change anything. I then came out to Western Colorado and I'd never been in public health, mental health before. I was in academia, and was just shocked at the volumes, the challenges, the inefficiencies. The Affordable Care Act was passed, and our volumes went up by 40% and even if we had more money, we didn't have more resources. We didn't have the personnel. So, struggling with that, we began a multi-year process that then began being tested 3 years ago. I don't want that red flag to come up too soon, so I'm going to cut to the chase. To simplify things, whether it is pharmacological treatment, psychotherapy treatment, peer support treatment, whatever it is, the treatment has to be the right intensity at the right time. And if you could flip to the next slide, there are really three, what we concluded is there are three basic umbrellas. Whatever the treatment is, you need, number one, access, okay? If after 4 months or 4 years of struggling with problems, I finally get the courage to call that number and say, I want treatment, you can't be delayed 8 weeks, okay? So you need access. Community mental, I'll get to that. You also need engagement. Next, click again. Once you get the access and you get your initial evaluation, what is the treatment going to be? Are you going to have to wait another 8 weeks to start your treatment? Once the treatment starts, are you going to see your therapist at 4 or 6 week intervals, which could be very helpful visits, but that is not evidence-based therapy. The last thing you need are outcomes. Access without engagement is worthless. Engagement without good outcomes is worthless. Next slide, please. So now let's look at these three elements: access, engagement, and outcome. And I kind of divide the world into community mental health. And I have a sense that community mental health is on the chopping block because people are so dissatisfied with that in so many different, I might be wrong about that. Community mental health has the opportunity that no other healthcare system has, in that they have providers, psychiatrists, nurse practitioners, therapists, peers. They have the whole gamut. If you believe treatment works, then that setting could be changed in order to get the job done. So let's take a look at this. In community mental health, because of state regs, most went to open access. You can walk in, the wait time is 0, but you may wait 4 weeks to engage, okay? Once you engage, everyone's schedule is so full, you may see your therapist once every 6 weeks. And nobody measures outcomes. I put in, if you're in the other settings, whether it's private, this is generalizations, private practice or other clinics, they don't have open access. So if you call and you say, I need therapy, I need medications, well, I'll have an opening in 4 weeks. 1 in and 1 out. That's the private practice and the clinic model, and it works for them. But the access is delayed. In community mental health, and I've heard so many of the CEOs say 1 in, 1 out. No, for community mental health, 1 in, 50 out. Okay, and I'm not going to have to, I can show you the math. The math is solid. If I want my former people to see 1 additional new patient a week in order to get the wait time down from 6 weeks to 2 weeks, they have to discharge 50 people. Now, how do you do that when you have state regs that say you have to see everyone every 3 months? And how do you do that when you have patients who may be stable, but they still have chronic illness and they can't be discharged? So we were in a quagmire. And we came up with this. And the last thing is, nobody uses structured rating instruments, okay, unless you're in research. Structured rating instruments will take the clinical outcomes from 30% in the same clinic, the same drugs, the same therapy, to 65% just by measuring the outcomes. Evidence-based therapy, medication, 70% response rate. Treatment as usual, which is what goes on all over, which is I can see you when my schedule's open, 30%. So these are the, and again, I don't want to go too much into the science. I can do a 2-hour presentation on this. I'd like to now go to the next slide. And this is a video that kind of illustrates what we found as a solution. There's now been, when I left Mind Springs, we'd been doing that for 2.5 years, 9 clinics, real data. We won the state award, the Golden Light Bulb Award for state innovation, and we won the national award for healthcare innovation, not mental health care, healthcare innovation, because this was so revolutionary. The concepts is so simple. What is amazing about this is that we were able to take this archaic dinosaur of community mental health and change the culture, change how people work together, change how people see their stable patients. I'll shut up now and show the video.
The big problem was clients aren't getting in to see a therapist or provider or really anyone in a timely manner.
Can you hear?
At Mind Springs Health, as well as all other mental health centers around the country, the demands for service far outweigh our capacities.
We were waiting 6 weeks to see a therapist, 3 months to see a psychiatrist, and constant new clients coming in.
We now get people, instead of 8 weeks, our wait time to get into treatment is 4 days. We worked for a year to come up with ideas that we can then pilot and test. One of those ideas is what came to be known as the Rapid Recovery Clinic, which is the phase-based clinic for depression. So the idea of phase-based care was really, let's take a look at how we're using our resources. And we have these stable patients that come back once every 3 months or once every 2 months, but do they really need our resources as much as the person who's in an acute episode of depression and thinking that they may kill themselves?
And we did a lot of experimentation. We had weekly meetings. We did a lot of staffing to figure out what the logistics, what's working, what's not.
We have a team meeting every week. And in that team meeting, every voice has equal value.
For that team interaction to occur, it took a lot of, Lita, what do you think? Casey, what do you think? And actually directing that until it was like they felt comfortable enough, everybody feels comfortable enough within the team to say, this is not working, we need to do something different. Let's shake the snow globe and see what we can do with it.
Our goal of the huddle is to look at those clients that are not doing well and look at what their PHQ-9 scores look like at different periods to potentially adjust what we're doing with treatment.
It's paramount to the success because it's actually meeting and it's a time to talk about what's working, what's not working. It's the team approach and the interdisciplinary knowledge that you're bringing together in the staffing that really benefits the client.
The team is here for the clients. They run our clinic. I mean, that's who we serve. That's who's in charge. That's who needs to help us make the decisions for them.
a lot of it's self-driven as opposed to somebody just telling you, you need to see a counselor, you need to do this, you need to do that. You kind of get to choose the people you see and when you see them.
And then every time you come in, you can pick who you want to see. And most of the time, whoever you pick, you're able to see them.
It feels really great. The data is showing that it's working, and the clients are saying it's working, and the amount of people we're serving is huge, huge differences.
It's changed my life so much.
Huge difference. I've been feeling good. First time in years that I haven't had suicidal ideation daily. So that's a big bonus for me.
My sister came and picked me up to come out here, to come to Mine Springs, because in California they have nothing like this. And when I came here, it completely changed my life. I'm about to start crying, but I'm really serious. If it wasn't for Mine Springs, I don't know pretty much what would have happened to me.
What we came to realize is that if we share our time using all of our staff together, people get better quicker.
You have about 30 seconds.
So what you see, access, engagement, and outcomes. All of the clinics were designed, this is so much more cost effective than care as usual. There's a zero no-show rate. And not only do the patients love it, the staff love it. For the first time, people really can see that our patients are getting better. One more thing, the most important thing to me is we don't lose track of the treatment refractory patient. We don't use that term. If somebody isn't showing change by week 6, and they can have appointments, they can walk in, they can see the psychiatrist, they can see the therapist, they're not getting better by week 6. We don't say, oh, they're treatment resistant. We say, what are we missing? And we continue to follow them. Our longest time to remission was 28 weeks, okay? So we stay with it. Time's up.
Thank you. Will you be able to share a copy of that slide so we can put it in
This
our
slide, and I
documentation?
can give you a link to the video as well.
That'd be great.
Can you state your name again?
Wrote Jules, Jules, Rosen, Rosen.
Thanks for sharing your great work. Really appreciate it. Thank you.